I am planning to do a video completing the Pokédex on this game, but first I wanted to give my first impressions on the game. Good chance I'll include more in-depth thoughts on the game in that video anyway. I'm playing this on Switch 2, so it does look a little better and run better than on Switch 1. It's not some technical marvel. I don't think Pokemon ever will be one again, but after how awfully Scarlet and Violet performed on Switch 1, I'm just glad the game is playable without all of that visual messiness and frame rate not giving me literal headaches and dizziness. A huge thing that bothered me with Scarlet was also the backgrounds and hills textures kind of melting into themselves, so I'm glad there's no melting going on here. I wish it did look a little better, but considering this runs on Switch 1, I don't think what it's offering is terrible look-wise, considering it has a bunch of Pokemon and humans on screen at a single time. The real big change is the combat. It feels hugely inspired by Xenoblade Chronicles, and as someone who is a huge fan of the trilogy of those games, and Pokemon, I'm glad they look at that franchise for inspiration. The worst part of Arceus to me was the strong and agile style combat. That's gone, and this is easily better to me. Pokemon having combat being real time makes it feel more like the anime than it ever has, and makes the creatures feel more like living creatures, since they don't just sit and get beaten up. If you're like me and were worried about the character movement system due to the trailers not really featuring it much, then there's good and bad news. Good is that you can dive and stuff like that from Arceus. It adds that feeling of urgency and threat, especially during the boss battles. There's also sneaking still and catching with lock-on. All great. I'm not 100% sure yet, so take it with a grain of salt, but catching seems simplified a bit, with there not being different weights for the balls. I don't care about that change too much, as I only ever found myself using the lighter balls or the regular balls anyway. Never felt a need for the heavier ones. They just didn't have the range I wanted. The one bad aspect of the character movement is seemingly traversing the city itself. The ride Pokemon system of Arceus is gone, and to me that is a downgrade. Granted, I never used Ursaluna, but the others provided helpful movement options. And it's a shame it doesn't seem to be replaced with anything as good here. I've never been huge into Megas, but I think this game improves them simply by making it so you can use multiple per battle if you want to. If you care about story, I'm not the kind of person you want to watch for impressions on that. I don't care about the story really in Pokemon. I find almost all of them super basic, this being no exception, but it gives me enough of a push to want to get to the end of the game beyond just enjoying the gameplay. And that's all I need, quite frankly. A big worry for me comes in the form of the city being the only location. It hasn't worn out its welcome yet, but I can tell it's going to get boring a lot faster than Arceus for me in the long term. I'm a shiny hunter, so I'm going to be looking at these similar looking areas a lot, and with them not being dramatically different looking areas, I expect to need longer breaks between hunts, so the visuals don't burn into my eyes like keeping a screen on for too long in the same place on an OLED screen. A thing people love Pokemon for is music. Yeah, knocked out of the park yet again here. This has potential to be one of my favourite Pokemon soundtracks, so if you care a lot about music, I'm pretty sure you'll like this. I won't go into specifics, but there's a good amount of new Megas, and like all Pokemon, my thoughts on them are mixed. So there will be some you probably like and probably don't, as expected with any game with so many characters and creature designs. For one last quick issue, the long tutorials Pokemon has become known for. They're still a thing, unfortunately. But yeah, I think for my early thoughts, that's about it. But I plan on playing this game almost non-stop so I can try to get the Pokédex completion video out without taking months off from making videos again. I'm enjoying my time with the game so far, and I think that's all, so bye, I guess.